距离美国大选不到2个月了，华裔美国人应该如何决定他们的选票？共和党和民主党候选人川普和白登对于中国共产党北京政府有不同的态度和政策，华人如何看待呢？对他们的投票会起什么样的作用呢？前美国国务院外交官约翰霍普金斯大学教授、历史学家和中国问题专家 Alicia Campi 博士非常诚恳地提出他的看法和建议。他还特别分享自己对盲人律师陈光诚在共和党全国代表大会上的演讲的感受。我觉得呢，不管是华人移民还是在中国或亚洲的朋友，不管您是川普还是白登的支持者，可能都会觉得蛮值得一听的。朋友们好，欢迎来到走入美国，我是辛恬。在前2期节目里呢，Alicia Campi 博士分析了民主党所面临的挑战对于大选可能产生的影响，其中也谈到了为什么大多数的移民会投票给民主党的问题。对于华人移民来说呢，以前大多数的情况也是这样的，不过从2016年的大选开始，越来越多的华人就意识到了目前共和党的理念可能跟自己更加接近，尤其是他们看到和感受到美国极左派所支持和推动的政策对于自己的生活所产生的直接的负面影响，让他们回想起在中国的经历，非常担心美国会变得越来越像中国。但是在另一方面呢，川普政府对于中国共产党北京政府的言辞和行动是越来越强硬。那有的华人呢，就感到好像心里有点五味杂陈啊，觉得在感情上接受不了，或者是担心华人在美国因此而会受到歧视。对于这样的一个现象呢，Campi 博士他其实是非常了解中国人想法的，他主动表示想要跟华人观众聊一聊这个话题。
They shouldn't be depressed about this stronger and stronger anti-China rhetoric. This is not anti-Chinese rhetoric. But if the government and its policies are wrong, you must stand up and criticize. They will not change and get better if you are silent. You have to say something. And people cannot say criticism of China is criticism of me as a Chinese. It is if you stay silent and do nothing about it. To me, I sometimes think that my many Chinese friends, perhaps especially in this campaign season, are concerned that they will be discriminated against or people will hate them, something like that. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen. It does happen. But China and its policies today are not good. They are hurting not only the country, but also other places in the world. And maybe that China has lost its way. It needs people, both Chinese-blooded people and friends of China, to stand up and tell the government and the people who control the government, if they are not government leaders themselves, you are going in the wrong direction and you have to stop it.
听到 Campi 博士这么讲，我不知道您有什么样的感受？我自己是觉得挺感动的。他一个美国人能够如此的理解一些中国人的所思所想，而且呢，又能够从美国的价值理念来直接的、诚恳的说出来沟通。他说，这跟自己的生活经历也有关系。作为一个历史学家，Campi 博士对于中国和亚洲的了解呢，不是像一般的外国人只是去过那里旅游。他在一生中的不同阶段，曾经在中国、日本、蒙古和新加坡都生活过，了解当地人所面对的挑战。他说，就像一个中国人，如果是70岁以后才第一次来到美国，那基本上呢是看不到美国社会的很多方面的。 但假如说这个人是20几岁来到美国上学，40几岁又回来做生意，然后70岁呢又来到美国带孙子孙女的话，就不一样了。他对于美国的了解呢，就会更加的全面深入。Campi 博士自己就是这样的，在他人生的不同阶段啊，他在亚洲很多国家都生活过，过程中呢，也是为了能够在不同的环境下生存下去，他就不断的学习成长。所以他对这些国家、人民和文化都有非常深刻的了解。Campi 博士说呢，当然他也知道，对于美国人来说，指出政府的错误是一件很容易的事情，因为他们总是在批评政府、批评党派。但是他也知道，对于一个亚裔来说，其实这是件很难的事情，因为呢，他们会觉得这种批评是针对他们个人的。但是他希望大家能够转变这种观念。
It has to be done, otherwise people suffer and continue to suffer until finally Chinese people explode. And then you have death and destruction. So if we could have a gradual buildup of capitalism and wealth in China, we have to also have a gradual buildup of human rights and of freedom in China. Because if you don't, you will have, maybe not this year and maybe not in 10 years, but you will have an explosion. And that Chinese history teaches us. And since the people who are hurt most in that situation are Chinese, that's why we have to help and support our Chinese friends and those who speak up.
他知道，对于他这样一个不是中国人的人来说，告诉中国人不要生气是很容易的。但毕竟这些并不是安慰人的话，所以不一定会改变人们如何感受。但是他想要告诉大家的是，川普总统会批评习近平，会批评拜登，甚至他亲近的人，这就跟他的基点是有关系的。华人呢，得要明白这一点。
And so they have to understand that from his point of view, as he said, I'm president of the United States. I'm not president of the world. If he were president of China, he would fight hard for China, and he would try to, as he said, change the elite, change the old guard and the old ways. But he's not president of China. He's president of the United States.
这就是美国的民主和在中国的独裁专制之间的区别。但是有的华人就说，川普总统啊，其他的还都挺好，但是他老是说那个病毒是中国病毒 China virus， 这会对我们中国人不利。
I think that I want your viewers to understand the problem becomes when we get a personal emotional reaction to these comments. And then we say, that man hates me, that party hates me. No, that man is actually protecting you in this country. It may, in some ways, be helping certain policies in your homeland for your children and grandchildren and relatives. But the first thing is to say, where's the truth here?
他说，就像你的祖父、你的奶奶可能会说些重话，会骂孙女，你的裙子怎么这么短呢？或者说骂孙子啊，真没礼貌。那作为孙辈呢，我们是不想听到这些话的，觉得他们太老派了，或者说他们的话却是在伤人呢。但其实你心里知道，他们讲的话是对的，他们这么做呢，也并不是想要毁掉你。即便有的时候说的话不一定合时宜呀，但是他们是因为爱你、爱护你才这么说的。因此呢，Campi博士认为，华人在投票的时候应该更重视一个因素，要问问自己。
But that's the value thing. Do my values closer align to President Trump or to Vice President Biden? Because in the end, the policies, when you vote, are the ones that will affect your life.
他指出，主流媒体所热衷的一些话题，包括第一夫人梅拉尼亚是不是在修白宫啊？希拉里是穿裤装还是裙装啊？其实这些话题啊，这些东西都不会影响到你的生活， 但是呢，他们的政策才会真正影响到你的生活。
The Republican president cannot do anything about what is the homeless situation in San Francisco or the rioting in Portland. You think he can. This is not China. He can't send the National Guard without permission from the state leaders and the local leaders. If they won't give permission, he cannot help. And it's hard for people from a different tradition to understand that. But that's why Americans put the responsibility on the local leaders. And if the local leaders don't act responsibly, you have to get rid of the local leaders. And if you don't, if you keep voting them in, then this is the government you will get. Or if you don't vote at all, this is the kind of government you will get.
也就是说，在美国的制度下，种瓜得瓜，种豆得豆。Campi 博士说，这就是为什么民主啊，有时候看起来效率比较低，专制看起来有时候效率还挺高。
But authoritarianism is very efficient as long as the person in authority is efficient. But if that person is stealing or lazy, inattentive, like the emperor, not paying attention to the activities of the day, but wine, women, and song, and going off and hunting or writing poetry, then authoritarianism doesn't work.
那怎么办呢？Campi 博士说，人们确实面临选择。如果是要革命呢，这必然会导致很多的死亡和破坏。那如果选择什么都不做呢？
If you don't do anything, things don't just get better by not doing anything. Chinese, the old idea was the emperor is far away. That's where we want to keep him. Just as long as my family's okay, my village is okay, it'll be all right. But now the emperor has his spy camera in your city, next to your block, is listening to your telephone calls, picking out your emails and your WhatsApp and everything. So the emperor is not far away. The emperor is very close.
他知道中国人啊是不喜欢承认有问题，但是美国人就不怕承认。
Anyway, it's an interesting thing for your listeners, your viewers, to see this election, and I myself do not think it will be very close.
所以 Campi 博士认为川普会以高票当选，为什么呢？他认为之前提到的在那些民主党控制的城市中的暴力问题是其中一个很主要的原因。
The violence issue scares people, and they say 1 million people have left the city of New York. 1 million. Now, they're not all rich people who flew down to Florida. There are people whose food carts can't make money because there's nobody in the offices. Their little stores and restaurants gone because we have no tourists. So why should I be here? They moved.
其实不止纽约，包括我居住的旧金山和其他一些城市都发生类似的情况。Campi 博士说是这样的，他就有个朋友住在科罗拉多州的丹佛市一个高尚公寓区。后来呢，市政府批准在那栋公寓的附近设2个无业游民的帐篷区，所以他每次回家，不管是从哪个方向走，都要经过那个臭味熏天、地上都是毒品注射针头的区域。他的朋友实在是受不了了，就搬去夏威夷了。
So, I mean, it's not just California, it's other places too. And I said, you were so used to politicians telling you things and then they never did it. I said, maybe that's the real Trump revolution. Trump started to tell people, this is what I'm going to do, and he did it. So other politicians, including very progressive leftist politicians, said, this is what I'm going to do. And then they did it, and people go, well, I didn't think you would do that.
Campi 博士说，这些极左派政客的主张常常是不实际，或者是花费太高。就像在加州， 左派的州长和政客说要禁止化石燃料，好吧？当发生自然灾害的时候呢，就像最近气温特别高，火灾发生，电力就不够用，结果就要加州人轮流停电。
Because you have no fossil fuels as a backup. Okay, you didn't really believe that it could happen, but it's happening. Unfortunately, people, I'm a historian. I would like people to read history, to learn from others' mistakes. They never do. They repeat the mistakes. They say, how did we get ourselves into this big mess? Because you voted for this guy.
他建议年轻人应该去学美国历史，新移民也是一样。另外，他对盲人律师陈光诚在共和党大会上的演讲是赞赏有加。
I thought he was very strong and it made a tremendous impression. I'm sure the Chinese government was very unhappy. But all Chinese people, regardless of their personal feelings, should be proud of him. Because he's certain, I mean, his English was so good. And he's there with his braille. I mean, I couldn't do that. And I really, really respected him. And I had some friends who actually were part of his life story when he was in China and helped him in different ways. But I don't know him. But I thought he really made an excellent presentation.
听了 Campi 博士的分享，不知道你有哪些感想呢？我想到的一点是，作为在美国的华人，包括已经成为美国公民，或者是将来想要成为美国公民的，如果能够去全面的学习美国历史和价值理念，尤其是美国的建国理念的话，你就会觉得自己是真正的成为了这个国家的一员，就不会觉得自己是个外国人了。其实这也是我自己的亲身体验。那假如是挑着学，或者是挑着认同这个国家的传统理念的话，比方说你一方面觉得极左派的政策对自己的生活不利，就很反对，但另一方面，如果有人批评中国共产党北京政府的错误的时候，你还是去维护它，其实呢，你可能就没有真正的融入美国的传统价值理念。这样的话，在美国生活其实是挺痛苦的，而且这对你后代在美国生活呢也是不利的。我以前在采访 Campi 博士的时候就专门聊过这个话题。当然了，除非有人觉得这样身在曹营心在汉也挺好，那就是他自己的选择了。那么在中国的朋友呢，了解了我们谈的这些话题，希望是能够对于您思考中国社会以后的方向，以及您个人的未来会有一些借鉴的作用。好的，如果您喜欢我的节目，就在下面留言、订阅和分享转发。感谢您的收看，我们下次节目再见。